welcome back to part 2 of removing popcorn ceilings and making them smooth. Today we're going to be skimming our ceilings, and I'm going to share some techniques on how I go about getting a superior product. So the first thing is I like to use my 36-inch level 5 skimming blade. Makes life super easy, and it really ensures you're going to get a flat surface. So for today, the very first thing that I'm going to do in here, a little trick of mine, I'm going to put down some plastic. But if you guys have ever used the plastic before, you know when you roll it out, it gets everywhere and it's hard to keep in one place. You got to tape it. I don't even tape mine. And the way that I get around that is, I'm going to mop the entire floor first and get some moisture on the ground. And that moisture will act almost like a suction cup when you lay your plastic out, and it'll keep it in one place. And since we're doing mud work and stuff will be getting on it, I'm going to be getting rid of the plastic almost on a daily basis up until we sand. So I'll just roll it up at the end like I did yesterday when I removed the texture, toss it out, and then put a new one out. So first thing we'll mop, get that plastic down, and then this is a trick of mine. So the very first thing we're going to do as far as prepping the ceilings is we're going to sand them all. So I got as much of the texture off as I could yesterday just by scraping. But you'll find if you ever do that and you go straight to priming before just a point up, there'll be little bits in areas, which I'll show you guys really quick. If you look right here, where you can almost see the texture, but it's not quite like the popcorn up there. Well, that little bit, in my experience, I've found if you don't sand this stuff off and you go back and you try and prime and back roll, it's gonna peel off and it's gonna get all through your paint. It's gonna make an absolute mess. So we're gonna avoid that. I've got some 80 grit sanding pads, and I'm gonna take this down. I've got some HEPA filters in my vacuum, and I'm gonna use my motorized sander, and I'm gonna sand all this stuff down, get as much dust off as I can, and then we're gonna go straight to skimming. For this application, I'm gonna be using an all-purpose. Now, if I were just skimming drywall, I'd probably go with a light weight if it was already all taped. The only differences in your weight on your spackling compounds is the all-purpose has a higher glue content, the mid-weight has like a middle weight of glue content, and the lightweight has very little glue in it. And the difference with the glue is, for one, would be tape adhesion. With taping, you want to tape with an all-purpose, or you want to tape with a hot mud. But the middle weight's good for like your first skim coat when you're bedding everything, and then the lightweight's good for like a final easy sand coat. And that is the big differences in your spackling compounds. Your all-purpose with the heavier glue content is a much harder sand. But the reason I'm going to be using it today is because this is a slab foundation. This is all concrete. And I want to be sure that this spackle sticks really well to what I'm putting it to. And with my level 5 skimming blade, it's going to be pretty smooth already, and I've got a machine to sand it. So I want a nice hard coat, and that's why I chose an all-purpose for this application. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sand our ceilings. I just got this quarter cable power sander. I'm running it through a vacuum with a bag. I'm going to knock this smooth. The dust would be down a little bit, but it's still pretty dusty, so I'm feeling nice on it. I'm gonna flat block the inside corners, and then we're gonna start skimming. We got pretty smooth with that coat. Arguably smooth enough for a coat of primer. But the way I like to do things, I like to prime last. And my thought process behind this is you really need to prime before you finish paint anyway, and I don't want to prime twice. So I'm going to go ahead and skim all these ceilings, and then once I skim everything, I'll be on to the next one. So I'm gonna go ahead and skim all these ceilings, and I'll show you guys the consistency I mix my mud to and how I apply it. Again guys, I use an all-purpose mud, and we're gonna thin this out so we can roll it on our wall. Add some water. Don't add soap guys, that's all a bunch of nonsense. I see the dish soap thing everywhere, and I fell for it once too. You can get the consistency of mud you want just by adding water. And I've had problems with dish soap in the past where I've added the dish soap and my paint has peeled and not adhered in places. Don't do it. I usually judge it by how I can pour it. If I can pour it like paint, look at that. Pretty good. All right guys, let's start skimming. Again, I've just got a 18-inch roller. I'm simply going to roll the mud on the ceiling, and then I'm going to knock it down with my level 5 skimming blade. These are a great purchase, man. They work great. Just keep your little protector, because if you get a little nick, they're no good anymore. You have to get a new blade. So I did about 3 passes, and now I'm just going to kind of even the mud out. Looks a little light in the middle, add a little more right there. And I'm just going to let it go with our skimming blade. I like to leave a little bit on it, get my inside corner area. You can already see how smooth it is. Just 2 passes. My knife, knock off the excess, and we're moving on. We're skimmed. Some of it's dried already. That concrete's so dry, it just sucks the moisture right out of it, but you can see it's like glass. Is it a mess? Absolutely. It's a mess. But you know what? I just can't find anybody who I can trust to do this stuff. I've used painters, I've used people to smooth my ceilings. They just, in and out, man, in and out. I want them to look good. If somebody's putting a lot of money in their ceiling, they want a smooth ceiling. They don't want a ceiling that looks like crap at the end of the day. So I know what it takes to get it done, and I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty, so here we are.